Hello everyone and welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today we are going to be rating and ranking the maps of Monster Hunter across the entire main series. Now, I also am going to be doing a separate video where I rank and rate the arena, like the boss arena maps, which are also listed here. So what I've gone and done before recording is I sorted these to like the explorable maps, like the just regular maps, and then I also made like a separate section for the arenas. So you'll notice like all these top ones. We got like the Gen 1 maps, Gen 2, Gen 3, all the way through Gen 6. And then we have the starting right down here with the Fortress, I believe. We have the Gen 1 through 6 arena maps. Sorry about the ones that don't have text on them. Those were already here, but I had to add some more images to this to make this, the complete package. At least complete for now. I'm sure, we'll get more arenas and more maps, obviously, as Wilds goes forward and as the series goes forward in general. But all right, let's get into it. Starting off with Verdant Hills, or Forest and Hills, as it was called in the original Monster Hunter. So this map, yep, this is like the classic Monster Hunter map. Oh, actually, by the way, I have not played the Great Forest or Battleground. These two maps are from Frontier, and I've only played a little bit of Frontier. I also have not played the full tower map in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, or I guess it was in Monster Hunter 2 as well, so Monster Hunter Dose, Freedom Unite. The Lava Canyon and the Snowy Mountains Peak are the original maps where you'd fight a Cantor and Ucanilos, but I have fought both of those monsters just in Ingle Isle and whatever the one for Ucanilos is in Generations Ultimate. And then this here, like this section of the tower, I'm pretty sure is where you fight Yamasukami, which I also have not done because I have not gotten far enough in Freedom Unite. But alright, real this time, let's get into it. So, Forest and Hills, or the Verdant Hills. This map, the classic Monster Hunter map, it's very simple. It's got some nice, I don't know. It's kind of like a plains. Like, I really like the background and the general aesthetic. But it's very flat, as pretty much all of the pre-4th generation Monster Hunter maps are. I really like... I don't know. I think the layout's fine. There are a couple areas in the map that I'm a little confused on. There's like this really narrow pathway and this tiny little zone. So, it's the OG map. I'm gonna give it like a 5, and we'll put it in C tier. Okay, moving on, we have the Arctic Ridge, or the Snowy Mountains. And this one I really like. I think it's a pretty solid snowy ice map. I love, it's not the best ice map, but it's a good one. It's got some ice caverns. It has some snowy mountaintop areas. You have to kind of climb the mountain. Pretty simple map. I think it's another, like, 5 out of 10. Middle of the road kind of map. I dig it, though. Old Desert. So I think this is... I want to say this is the one from Monster Hunter 2, or like one of the ones that's in Generations Ultimate, where you have like these cold areas that you have to use hot drinks in, and then like you have to use the cool drinks just for the desert. This one, if this is the one that I'm thinking of, I do not like this one. I give this one like a D tier, 3 out of 10, worst desert map in the history of the series. I really don't like it. Old Jungle, so not quite sure what the difference between the Old Jungle and the Jungle is. Actually, in fact, I'm going to put this one down here just because I think this might be something different. I'm going to do the same with the Old Swamp. Not entirely sure what those are. I know what the marshlands and swamp are, and the jungle, but let me know in the comments, is that the same map as, is the Old Swamp the same as the swamp or marshlands? And is the Old Jungle the same as the jungle? Not sure about that, but I'm just going to put those in haven't played just in case. Swamp and Marshlands. This one is... Played this in Generations Ultimate. This is I really don't like this map. This is... I think I like it slightly... No, I think I actually like it less than the desert. I'm going to give it like a 2 out of 10. It's just so drab and bland and gross. It's just very all the colors are so muted. It's just like every time I do a quest in that map, oh, here we go. To go to this map, Old Volcano. Okay, this is another one. No idea. I think that's from the original Monster Hunter. Volcano. This one is, I believe, a Monster Hunter DOS map, and it's in Generations Ultimate. I don't like this one too much. I like it better than the Old Desert and Swamp, so I'll give it like a 3 still, but it's I don't really like it much. The Jungle. Okay, the original Jungle. I'm gonna give the original Jungle like a 5, right? This is like the Freedom Unite, Monster Hunter DOS Jungle that was also in Generations Ultimate. Pretty solid map overall, but it pales in comparison to the later iteration of the Jungle, which we will talk about later in this video. All right, the Deserted Island. Okay, so this one, there's technically 2 versions of this, but like, whatever. It's the same map. It's just that in GU, they had to cut the water areas because of no swimming. This is actually one of my favorite maps. I love this map so much. It's just the aesthetic. I love the like tropical island aesthetic. And I mean, being able to swim in 3 and 3 Ultimate, you know, for those fights against like Lagiacrus, and the balance of like hills and caves and kind of like beach sort of area. Not beach, but like the water's like flooding onto the land. Like, it's just it's a classic, and I love the fact that this map always plays Lagiacrus's theme, even if you're not fighting Lagiacrus. It's kind of like the Verdant Hills situation, where the Verdant Hills map has the same music as Rathalos, so you're always going to hear Roar Rathalos no matter what monster you're fighting, unless it's like a flagship or something in GU. But it's the same with Deserted Island. You always hear Lagiacrus's theme unless you're fighting a flagship that's not Lagiacrus, and it's just, to me, it's a perfect map. I really want to see it reimagined in the same way that the Jungle got reimagined in Sunbreak, which, again, we will talk about that later. I'm going to give that map like a 10 out of 10. I don't think, you know, is it my favorite map ever? I don't know, but it's up there for me. Flooded Forest 3rd Generation. It's okay. It's all right. I'll give it like a 6. I like how you can swim in the 3rd gen version of the map, but it's, again, it's very like dark and gloomy. Not to the extent that the swamp and marshlands are, but, you know, it's a swamp. It's supposed to be kind of dark. I get it. But, I don't know, just tonally with like Monster Hunter 3 having the Deserted Island be so bright and vibrant, and then going to the Flooded Forest a little bit. And it's kind of like that with the Tundra too. The Tundra is 3's ice map, and I think it's okay. I honestly don't find it that memorable, so I think just for that, I'm going to give it like 5, and I'm going to put it below the Snowy Mountains and Arctic Ridge. I think I actually like the Arctic Ridge more than the Tundra. You know what? I think I even like the OG map better than the Tundra as well. So we'll give it like a 5, but it's below all those other ones for me. The 3rd gen Volcano. I don't like this one. I think I like it a bit better than the 2nd gen Volcano that's in Generations Ultimate, but actually, no. I actually don't even know if I can say that, because I barely remember this map, and I mean, I think there's a reason they didn't put this map in Generations Ultimate. They went with the 2nd gen Volcano. So, I don't know, maybe that's a hot take, but it's been a while. But yeah, not a fan of that one. I'll give it like a 5. Okay, Sandy Plains 3rd Generation. I think that the later iteration of this map is much better. I think as a desert map in 3 or 3 Ultimate, I think it's fine. I would give it like, I think I like it more than the Flooded Forest. I'll give it like a 6. Give it a 6. Misty Peaks. Okay, this one's awesome. This is like one of the main maps, I think, or like the main map from Portable 3rd. And the way that I have played this map is through Generations Ultimate, and yeah, it's just, I don't really know what else to say about it. For me, it's like an 8 out of 10. It's a really, really good map. I love the aesthetic. It's like the Shrine Ruins before the Shrine Ruins, but it also has a pretty different vibe. from the Shrine Ruins. Like it's more forested than the Shrine Ruins. Like the Shrine Ruins is pretty open. This one is definitely more like closed off. And I love the autumnal colors on the trees and just the waterfalls, the falling petals. It's beautiful. I love that map. So yeah, that's like an 8 out of 10 for me. Okay, moving on to the 4th generation maps. We have the Ancestral Steppes, the first Monster Hunter map that I ever played on, and the first map in 4 Ultimate. And yeah, if you guys don't know this about me, 4U was like the first Monster Hunter game I tried, but it wasn't until World that I really got into the series. And yeah, going back to the Ancestral Steppes, both in GU and when I, actually got around to fully playing 4 Ultimate, yeah, this map's another 10 out of 10 for me. I love it. I think it's perfect. There's a couple zones of the map that I'm a little iffy on, but just like the Deserted Island, this is one that I really want to see get like the Rise jungle treatment. It's just, I mean, I love the autumnal colors. I love the just how vibrant everything is. And that's just like a big 3rd and 4th generation Monster Hunter thing. Like they really took the colors and went more anime, made things like more vibrant. And I just really love that. I think they did a great job with that and not overdoing it. And the Ancestral Steppes is a great way to learn about the, new jumping off ledge attacks and mounting monsters. And I mean, Kechawacha, like you fight Kechawacha in, I think, Zone 2 of that map as a way for the player to learn those new mechanics, or at the time, new mechanics. And the music is great. I love the battle theme of Ancestral Steppes. And yeah, good mixture of like mountainous areas, like a nest area, a couple nests for the monsters, and this just beautiful open vista when you step out of the camp area, leading into like this deep forest. And I mean, the color palette seriously just blows me away on this map every time. So love the Ancestral Steppes. Easy 10 out of 10 for me. Sunken Hollow. Okay, so yeah, Sunken Hollow and Volcanic Hollow, same map, just different kind of vibes. The Sunken, like there's no lava, it's just kind of, everything's kind of dried out, and then there's some water, and then the Volcanic Hollow is where the volcano, the magma, is actually flowing again, but it's the same space. I like both of these. To me, this map is kind of like the oil well basin before the oil well basin. This map, or these maps, are very similar to the oil well basin in that regard. Sunken Hollow and Volcanic, I like them. They're pretty good. I don't think I like it more than Misty Peaks. I think I'll give them like an 8. I'll give them 8 out of 10s, both of them. I think they're pretty solid, like, volcanic maps. Frozen Seaway. Alright, this is another one. The GOAT. 10 out of 10. Monster Hunter 4's maps are some of my favorite maps. Or just 4th generation Monster Hunter maps in general are some of my favorite maps. And the Frozen Seaway is another 10 out of 10. S tier. To me, it is the best ice map, or snowy map. There's one other one that I think comes pretty close, but I just love the idea of it, of Frozen Seaway. Like, you're literally on a sea that has been frozen. Like, it's almost like you're in, like, the Arctic Sea or something. And there's, like, these crashed ships from, like, a long time ago. And there's, like, some mountainous areas, too. But you can see this, like, crazy whirlpool in the distance. And, fighting monsters on the ice is really cool. And then just, like, climbing up and fighting them up in the more mountainous areas and in the caverns. It's just, like, it's the perfect ice map. And, I mean, this map gave us Zamtrios, okay? So, I mean, need I say more? All right, the Primal Forest, another incredible Monster Hunter 4 map. I definitely don't like this one. Like, I like it, but I definitely don't like it as much as Frozen Seaway or Ancestral Steppe. Again, I think this map just has some incredible vistas. I think for me personally, it's like a 9 out of 10. It's really close, but I just can't put it above the Deserted Island. I think that it has a little bit better of a color palette than the Deserted Island, but it's also going for a very different vibe, and I just like the vibe of Deserted Island more. And I mean, both the color palettes are incredible. I guess I'm just looking at these images, it looks like it has better color palette, but when you actually play on the Deserted Island, it's extremely vibrant. I mean, you really feel like you're on a tropical deserted island. But yeah, like the crazy giant skeleton, falling petals. When you step out of camp, they're like these birds that like fly across the open vista. It's incredible. There's like mountainous area with this nest. And it's all like stormy and dark up there. It's just really cool map with a lot of different cool areas that all kind of have slightly different tones, but they all fit within the tone and the setting of this ancient primal forest. All right, Heaven's Mount. This is a pretty good one as well. I think this is probably, it's a good one, but aside from the next one, which is a bit of a weird case, I think this is probably my least favorite of the 4U maps, like just the regular 4U maps. But as just like a concept, it's really cool. I think I am gonna give this one. I'm gonna give this one an 8. I'm gonna put it below. Yeah, I'll put it like down here. So I think it's an 8 out of 10. I just find the layout of this one to be a little annoying in some ways, and I don't find it as gorgeous as the other maps in 4U, or even, you know, like Misty Peaks from Portable Third or the Deserted Island. But I think it's just really cool how you're so high up in the mountains, and then beyond that is the Spear Tip Crag where Dalamadur lives, and there's all these rocks falling down from Dalamadur, just like making slight movements up there. And you know, you have like the Sanctuary boss arena. If you go the opposite way of the camp. Really cool idea of a map, and another one that I definitely would want ported or remastered. Well, yeah, like remastered in the way that the jungle in Sunbreak was. I think I'd give that a solid 8 out of 10. Okay, the Everwood. This is a pretty interesting one because it's not really a regular map. This is from Monster Hunter 4/4 Ultimate, and it's kind of like the space where you would go to do like the precursor of investigations, like the guild quests and expedition. Maybe they were called expeditions, I forget. Obviously there's the guild quest too, but yeah, you'd go to this map and it would always be like this random mishmash of different zones. I think it always looked pretty good, but like it's fun to explore, but it's hard to rate it when it's not really a consistent map. But that being said, just like the vibes and the color palette alone, I think I gotta give it like a 6. I'll give it a 6. I think it's a B tier 6 out of 10. Okay, the Dunes, which they brought back in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. This is a pretty good desert map. I like it. I think it's got I like the song. I like just the overall vibes. I think it's cool how like at night there's like a land bridge that forms between a couple of the zones that are normally blocked off by a little oasis. So pretty cool. I think it's better than like the sandy plains from 3rd gen. So I'll give it like I'll give it a 7. Give it a 7. All right, the Jurassic Frontier from Generations. This is a pretty good one. I don't like it as much as the Primal Forest, especially some of the areas that are like deeper into the map. I think I'm going to give it like an 8. I think it has some really nice areas, but there's also some areas that just feel so out of the way, and you hardly ever go to those areas. And like a 7. I think it's like a 7 out of 10. All right, the Ruined Pinnacle. This is a really good one. Generations Ultimate. This is like Valstrax's map. It's a full map, but at the very top of it is this massive mountain, like probably one of the biggest mountains in Monster Hunter. Maybe not as big as Heaven's Mount, but actually I don't know. Like maybe it is taller than Heaven's Mount. I'm not really sure, but really good map. I love the overall aesthetic and the variety of the areas. Got some like underground caverns. You got some waterfalls. You're like really high up in the clouds. It's a great aesthetic. It's a great time. I like it more than Heaven's Mount. So I'm gonna give it like a. I think I like it more than. I definitely like it more than the Sunken and Volcanic Hollow. I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10. Okay, the Ancient Forest. Oh boy, here we go. We're getting into 5th gen now. So Ancient Forest, incredible aesthetic, beautiful. You know, also just the first Monster Hunter map that we get to go to that does not have zones that are split up by loading screen. Now, this was Monster Hunter World was the first game to do that, where the maps you go to are fully seamless and the zones are completely interconnected. So major brownie points for that. It's really just when you get deep into the forest, some of the layout of this map is just like a mess, dude. I mean, I've played on this map so many times and I still get lost in it. It's kind of crazy. So I gotta dock some points for that, but I mean, I also gotta give it major props. So I think this is another like 8 out of 10 for me. Okay, Wildspire Waste, pretty good desert map. I definitely like it more than these other desert maps. Do I like it more than the dunes? Well, yeah, no, I do. I do like it more than the dunes. I think I like it more than the hollows as well. Aesthetically, I like the Ancient Forest more, but the Wildspire Waste is I think, a better map overall. So I'll give it like a higher 8 out of 10. I also really appreciate how they made it where, like, when you start in the Wildspire Waste, there's still like part of the Ancient Forest that's like touching the desert, and it kind of like fades away as you go further and further into the map. I think that's a really cool detail, and it just really helped to make the map of Monster Hunter World feel interconnected, even between maps. Okay, the Coral Highlands. This is one that I absolutely love. Kind of like the Ancient Forest. I don't always love the layout of this map, but it is still much more straightforward than the Ancient Forest, and I also just love it aesthetically. There really is no other map like the Coral Highlands in Monster Hunter. It's the only one that has this vibe to it, and for that reason, I gotta give it like a 9 out of 10. Rotten Vale, pretty similar situation with the Rotten Vale. This like rotten, decaying graveyard of monsters, essentially deep beneath the Coral Highlands. Again, there's not really another map like this in Monster Hunter. There's one arena map that we'll talk about in that video that's kind of similar. And I actually like the visual direction of that map better, but it's an arena, whereas this is like a full map, so, you know, pretty different. But yeah, the Rotten Vale is another one that really doesn't have any other map like it yet, so I think it's another one that I gotta give like a 9 out of 10, but I don't think I like it more. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10, but I'm gonna put it below Ruined Pinnacle. I don't think I like it more than... Ooh. Actually, no, I'm putting it below Ancient Forest and Wildspire. I think it's really unique. I like the vibes of Ancient Forest and Wildspire Waste more, even though I really prefer the layout of the Rotten Vale to the Ancient Forest. But yeah, Rotten Vale, incredible, 8 out of 10. Elder's Recess. This is another pretty cool one. It's kind of like a volcano mountainous region, but it's not entirely a volcano. I love the idea of this crazy habitat for elder dragons that, like, just, you know, and other monsters live there too, but like really it's all about the elder dragons on this map. I think that's a really cool idea. I don't know. I definitely like it more than the Rotten Vale. I think I like it more than Wildspire and Ancient Forest. Well, again, aesthetically, I like Ancient Forest more. That layout. So overall, yeah, I think I'm gonna give it like an 8 out of 10. Really solid map. I don't really have much else to add about that one. Okay, the Hoarfrost Reach. So earlier I mentioned how there's one other snow map that comes close to the Frozen Seaway, in my opinion. And honestly, I mean, if you like the Hoarfrost Reach better than the Frozen Seaway, like I could totally see that. The Hoarfrost Reach is absolutely incredible. It just, you really feel like you're immersed in this snowy forest mountain. And I think, like, when you look at the, I'm just going to temporarily place this here. But I think when you look at a map like the mountain peaks from, wait, not that one, sorry, the Arctic Ridge, you know, or the snowy mountains from Freedom Unite and Generations Ultimate. I think when you look at that, like, and you compare it to the Hoarfrost Reach, the Hoarfrost Reach to me is like what they wanted to do with that map. They have very similar vibes, but the Hoarfrost Reach is a much more fleshed out version of that. That, you know, it has caves, it has big open areas, it has like some rocky mountainous areas, and everything is covered in snow except for in the caves. And it's like, it's great. It's a 9 out of 10. I think I like it more than, yeah, I don't think I like it more than the Deserted Island, but I think I do like it more than the Coral Highlands. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Guiding Lands. So just like the Everwood in Monster Hunter 4, Guiding Lands is a pretty interesting case because it's not, it is a regular map, unlike the Everwood, where, like, you know, this is a fixed map. Like, the map isn't changing constantly like the Everwood is. But the Guiding Lands changes in a different way because of, like, how the whole leveling system works, and pretty much any monster in the game can spawn there outside of, like, crazy big boss monsters. It has biomes from every different map in Monster Hunter World Iceborne. I think the biggest thing, my biggest gripe with this map, is that the snowy area and the magma, like the volcanic area, are very small compared to the other areas. Like, none of the areas in the Guiding Lands are super big. Overall, it's a pretty small map, and they had to fit in all the biomes in at once, but it really kind of feels like the ice area and the fire area are kind of just shoehorned in. They don't really get a ton of space. I mean, the fire area is literally like a circle. Granted, the fire area also is where we fight Raging Brachydios, and that version of Raging Brachydios is peak, and he locks you in one of those rooms. It's crazy. So that bumps up the volcanic area of the map for me. But the snowy area really feels like a big disappointment. Like, it really just has, like, this rocky, snowy mountain aesthetic, but you're not on a mountain. It's more like a snowy, rocky cave. But it doesn't feel like the caves of the Hoarfrost Reach. You don't have any of the trees from the Hoarfrost Reach. I don't know. The Guiding Lands overall, I think, is a really cool idea. But I kind of wish it was a little bit bigger of an area, especially given how much they were trying to fit within the space. So I think for the Guiding Lands, I think I'm gonna give it like a 7. I'm gonna give it a 7. I'll put it like down here. All right, moving on to Monster Hunter Rise's maps, we have the Shrine Ruins, and this is one that I absolutely love. Do I like it more than Misty Peaks? Bit of a hard comparison, just because you know, these maps are pretty similar aesthetically. However, the Misty Peaks has, you know, the closed off zones, and the Shrine of Ruins has way more verticality going on. So there's definitely pros and cons to both of these. I think I might like the Shrine Ruins a little more, just a little bit more than the Misty Peaks. I'll give it like a 9 out of 10. This map was really the perfect starting map in Monster Hunter Rise because it really showcased and allowed us as players to experiment with all of the new systems that were in Monster Hunter Rise. You know, the wire bugs, wire fall. Okay, the Frost Islands. So this is another pretty good ice map. I think it's not... I don't think it's as good as the Hoarfrost Reach or as the Frozen Seaway, but it is another really solid one. I think the biggest weakness of this map to me is that it did not take advantage of the verticality as much as it could have. I know that's not entirely the point of the map that they were going for, but I can't help but feel like this area should be a little more mountainous, or should have some more mountains to explore. Like, there's some mountains you can explore, but you can't actually fight monsters on those areas. They're just like extra areas for you to explore. But I think it'd be cool if this map also played a little more into the verticality. Maybe like an 8. Give it an 8. Sandy Plains from Monster Hunter Rise. So like the first like remade map that we had in base Rise. I definitely think this is a huge step up over the 3rd gen version of this map. All the underground areas, just all the interconnected areas that they added to fill in the gaps between the loading zones in the original version. It's still not like my favorite desert map, but it's a pretty dang good one, and I think I would have to give it like a 7. Flooded Forest 5th gen. So while we're not able to swim around in certain zones of this map like we used to be able to in 3rd gen version, again, I love all the verticality, being able to climb up the mountains, climb up the giant Aztec-looking pyramid. Just another pretty solid remade map. I think I'm going to give this one also like a 7. Okay, Lava Caverns, another brand new map for Monster Hunter Rise. This is probably my least favorite map from base Rise. I don't know exactly what it is. There's just something about the map that I'm not the biggest fan of. Like, it's not bad, but I definitely like the Volcanic Hollow more. So I think for this one, I'm going to give it like a 7. The Citadel. Okay, here we go. Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. Citadel is 10 out of 10. Easy 10 out of 10 map. I think, I don't think I like it more on the Deserted Island. That's just one of the best maps in the entire series. I love how it looks at night and during the day. During the day, it's gorgeous, and then at night, it looks like it's straight out of Castlevania, which is perfect considering that it's the home map of Mount Zeno, the flagship of Sunbreak, who was inspired by vampires and Dracula, and also the home to Luna Garen, who's inspired by werewolves, and Garen Golem, inspired by Frankenstein's monster. So just, 10 out of 10. Great variety of zones and areas to explore. Love the castle. Love the overall aesthetic. They gave, like, Shagaru his whole own area that's like an homage to his arena from Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. It's perfect. All right, next up we have the 5th gen jungle, the thing that I've been making a lot of references to this map during this entire video. Yeah, this is it's kind of crazy, right? If you look at, this is an easy 10 out of 10 S tier for me. This might actually be my favorite map ever, which is crazy, dude. Like, look at how much lower the regular jungle is. Look at that. Now, why is that? Why am I putting... And I actually... I really like it more in the Ancestral Steppes. The Frozen Seaway. I think I'm going to put it right here. I think we're going to keep the Ancestral Steppes as number 1. But it's like neck and neck, right? With the Sunbreak version of the jungle. The reason why I like this map so much more than the original is because of a few things. So, one... they added like all these underground areas. You can now go into this like broken structure that was on the island, and it like leads you down to this underground, like ancient, I don't even know what to call it. This like this crazy underground area. And there's like some tunnels, and I mean, having the wire bug on this map, being able to just like go into the trees, just collect a bunch of stuff, and then go fight the monster. Like collect all your spear birds in like one central location. It's great. The lighting and the color palette and the overall aesthetic is really what does it. The original version of the jungle felt a little more drab and dull, whereas this, if you're on like a tropical island, you're in like James Cameron Avatar land with this map, okay? Like you are on vacation. That's how this map feels, and you get to fight some incredible monsters, and the theme, the music for this map, which I might have playing in the background of this video, we'll see what music I end up choosing, is like peak. And the way that they remastered that song and the stuff that they added into that song, it's just with the new version of the song is incredible. How they interconnected it, the way that they kind of revamped the lighting. Like, this map to me feels like the closest thing to a remade deserted island. I still really want that because it is different. 5th gen jungle from Sunbreak, just chef's kiss, perfection. All right, we're almost to the end of the video. Now we have the 6th gen maps with the Monster Hunter Wilds maps. And these are going to be pretty interesting to talk about given the crazy dynamic weather system that Wilds has. You know, it has the Season of Plenty, Season of Fallow, Season of Inclemency, and all of those seasons drastically affect my feelings on some of these maps. Not all of them, and we'll get to that. But the Windward Plains is definitely one of those, because, okay, when it's Season of Plenty, this map is like a 10 out of 10 for me. I actually think it's perfect. It reminds me of the Ancestral Steppes, but like the opening area of the Ancestral Steppes. It feels like you're playing inside of the vista, like that big open vista that you see when you come out of the campsite of Ancestral Steppes. It feels like that's what you're playing on, in like the sort of main area of the map. And then you have like the dunes, and that feels more like the Dune map from previous games. When it goes to the Season of Fallow, it's so bland and washed out and gray and gross. Like, I don't want to be there. It's like, ugh, what is this? And then you get to the Season of Inclemency, and it's like, it's cool. The effects are cool. It kind of makes it worse, and you can't really see anything, and all the monsters and just everything looks so bland. Your character's covered in dust the whole time. If you're playing on PC, your game probably just dropped like 30 frames, then the weather switches and you gain 30 frames back. It's I definitely want to do a whole video talking about some of the things, like some of the bloat of Monster Hunter Wilds, like the bloated features. And I think the weather system is actually kind of a bloated feature that they really didn't to do this much with, because it doesn't even add that much to the game. But that's a separate topic for a completely separate video. So yeah, like if it was just Season of Plenty, it would be like an easy 10 out of 10 for me. But because we have to factor in those other seasons, like an 8. So it's, you know, it's pretty good, but like, man, it just, the weather stuff really takes points away from this one for me. And if it was only the Season of Plenty, it would be such an easy 10 out of 10. All right, the Scarlet Forest, aka the best map in Monster Hunter Wilds. Similar problem to the Windward Plains. When this map is on the Season of Plenty, gorgeous, beautiful, 10 out of 10 S tier. It gives me a lot of the same feelings that the Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak version of the jungle gives me. But when this map is fallow, everything becomes so drab and don't really want to be there. The water's red. That's kind of interesting. I guess that's why they call it the Scarlet Forest. Yeah, I just much prefer the Season of Plenty. However, the Season of Inclemency on this map does not actually ruin the experience. Like, it doesn't make it worse for me. In fact, I like the Season of Inclemency on this map more than the Season of Fallow, because it actually feels a bit more interesting. Like, the flooding, especially if you're fighting Duna, it really adds to the vibe. So yeah, I definitely, you know, best map in Monster Hunter Wilds. I think it's again, it's like an easy 10 out of 10 if we're just looking at the Season of Plenty. But factoring in the Season of Fallow and Inclemency, which the Inclemency, like I said, pretty good, but still not as good as Plenty, we'll give it a 9. I think we'll give it a 9 out of 10. Not quite S tier territory, but it's reaching up there. Yeah, here's what we're gonna do. It's a 9 out of 10. It's S tier. Not going to put it above the Coral Highlands, because the Coral Highlands just beats it out of sheer uniqueness, and then Hoarfrost Reach is just such a good snowy map. But okay, moving on. All right, the Oil Well Basin. This is a map, unlike those last two, the season stuff really does not bother me as much on this map. I think when you're in the Season of Fallow, it feels kind of like the Sunken Hollow from Monster Hunter 4 and 4 Ultimate. When you're in the Season of Plenty... Actually, what does the Season of Plenty do on this map? I know the season... Okay, Inclemency is where everything's burning. But what does the Season of Plenty do? I'm clearly forgetting something here. But, yeah, this is a pretty good one. I think it's like an 8 out of 10. I don't think it reaches the highs of the Seasons of Plenty for Windward Plains or, you know, Scarlet Forest, but it doesn't go to like the lows of those maps. So it's like a good middle ground. Gonna give it like a solid 8 out of 10. I'll put it like there. I think that's a pretty fair spot. All right, the Ice Shard Cliffs. Oh boy, this horrible map. Yeah, I hate this map. I think this is actually the worst ice map, snow/ice map in the history of Monster Hunter. I think it's worse than every single one. I will say at least I remember it more than the Tundra, but that's just because it's more fresh in my mind. Like, I did not have this strong feelings about the Tundra. Nah, this map just sucks, dude. Like, aesthetically, it's cool. The floating rocks are kind of weird. But there was some of that on Heaven's Mountain. It worked there. I like the crazy ancient city in the background, in the distance. And Jindahad's arena is, like, kind of part of this map, but not really. And I like that. I like his arena. I do not like the regular explorable map of the Ice Shard Cliffs. And I'm gonna give this like a, oh my god, I'm gonna give this like a 2 out of 10. I think it's that bad. I guess those, if those were 3s before, I'm bumping down to like 2s as well. But yeah, Ice Shard Cliffs is like a 2. I hate it. I think it's the worst map in Monster Hunter Wilds and the worst ice map in the entire series. All right, Ruins of Wyveria. This one is a pretty interesting one. I really like the upper half of the map with like the kind of pink, white trees. It's a very different vibe. And you're like in the middle of this ancient place. It's pretty cool. But when you go lower, like the lower half of the map, and you start seeing like the Guardian pods, and it looks like something straight out of Alien, that kind of rubs me the wrong way. Just doesn't feel very Monster Hunter. And then I also just hate the fact that the lower half of this map is literally just a giant spiral staircase. I cannot stand that. I also don't really notice the inclemency or the fallow or the plenty very much on this map at all. Like, I don't really know. I don't know. I don't really know what it does. It's hard for me to tell. Ice Shard Cliffs, at least you can kind of tell what that does. But I just hate that map so much that it doesn't even matter. So this one, yeah, this one's pretty low for me. Like, I think I like it more than the Tundra, at least. I think it's like a 4, dude. Like a 4 out of 10. That is going to be it for my map tier list for the regular maps in the Monster Hunter series. At least at this point in time, you know, we're gonna get more maps as the series goes along, and some of these maps might even get like revamped versions in the future. But yeah, as it currently stands, this is my map tier list and ranking. But what do you think? What Monster Hunter maps are your favorite or least favorite, and why? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you all in the next Monster Hunter video. Happy hunting!